Hi guys, my name, as you know, is Cody, and I am recording this video for the purpose of my Monday and Wednesday 9:45, 10 o'clock a.m. Class at the Western Arkansas Literacy Council. Right now it's just Dino and Maudie, and so we're going to start reading The Phantom Tollbooth. So this video is just kind of a supplemental material to follow along with, in case you guys want to go back and look at the chapter again, in case there are words you guys don't know that maybe I could pronounce for you, and just for anything you might want to get from the first chapter of The Phantom Tollbooth, entitled Milo. And so since this is our first video, let's just take a look at the book. It is called The Phantom Tollbooth. Here on the cover you'll find pictures of Milo and Tock, the dog. We'll read the back of the book. Milo's Magical Mystery Tour. For Milo, everything's a bore. When a toll booth mysteriously appears in his room, he drives through only because he's got nothing better to do. But on the other side, things seem different. Milo visits the Island of Conclusions. You get there by jumping. Learns about time from a ticking watchdog named Tock, and even embarks on a quest to rescue Rhyme and Reason. Somewhere along the way, Milo realizes something astonishing. Life is far from dull. In fact, it's exciting beyond his wildest dreams. Anna Quindlen of the New York Times says, I read The Phantom Tollbooth first when I was 10. I still have the book report I wrote, which began, "This is the best book ever." The New Yorker says it is a classic, humorous, full of warmth, and real invention. Alright, so if you will turn with me beyond all of the stuff, you will see the title page and a picture there. The Phantom Tollbooth by Norton Juster, illustrated by Jules Pfeiffer. All that good stuff there. All of the legal stuff that I will say out loud later on to cover my behind. The book was dedicated to Andy and Kenny, who waited so patiently. And we will begin at the first chapter. Let's look briefly at the map. All the places that Milo will go in the Kingdom of Wisdom. The lands beyond, including a description of the several towns, boroughs, and municipalities comprising the Kingdom of Wisdom. Chapter 1. Milo. There was once a boy named Milo who didn't know what to do with himself. Not just sometimes, but always. When he was in school, he longed to be out. And when he was out, he longed to be in. On the way, he thought about coming home. And coming home, he thought about going. Wherever he was, he wished he were somewhere else. And when he got there, he wondered why he'd bothered. Nothing really interested him. Least of all, the things that should have. It seems to me that almost everything is a waste of time, he remarked one day as he walked dejectedly home from school. I can't see the point in learning to solve useless problems, or subtracting turnips from turnips, or knowing where Ethiopia is, or how to spell February. And since no one bothered to explain otherwise, he regarded the process of seeking knowledge as the greatest waste of time of all. Picture of Milo walking home dejectedly and scaring away a house sparrow. There's the house sparrow up there in the corner. As he and his unhappy thoughts hurried along, for while he was never anxious to be where he was going, he liked to get there as quickly as possible. It seemed a great wonder that the world, which was so large, can sometimes feel so small and empty. And worst of all, he continued sadly, there's nothing for me to do, nowhere I care to go, and hardly anything worth seeing. He punctuated this last thought with such a deep sigh that a house sparrow singing nearby stopped and rushed home to be with his family. Without stopping or looking up, he rushed past the buildings and busy shops that lined the street. In a few minutes, reached home. dashed through the lobby, hopped onto the elevator, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and off again, opened the door, rushed into his room, flopped dejectedly into a chair, and grumbled softly, "Another long afternoon." He looked glumly at all the things he owned, the books that were too much trouble to read, the tools he had never learned to use, the small electric automobile he hadn't driven in months. Or was it years? And the hundreds of other games and toys and bats and balls and bits and pieces scattered around the room, around him. And then, to one side of the room, just next to the phonograph, he noticed something he had certainly never seen before. Who could possibly have left such an enormous package, and such a strange one? For while it was not square, it was definitely not round. And for its size, it was larger than almost any other big package of smaller dimension that he had ever seen. Attached to one side was a bright blue envelope, which said simply, "For Milo, who has plenty of time." Of course, if you've ever gotten a surprise package, you can imagine how puzzled and excited Milo was. And if you've never gotten one, pay close attention, because someday you might. "I don't think it's my birthday," he puzzled, "and Christmas must be months away, and I haven't been outstandingly good, or even good at all." He had to admit this even to himself. "Most probably I won't like it anyway, but since I don't know where it came from, I can't possibly send it back." He thought about it for quite a while and then opened the envelope, but just to be polite. "One genuine turnpike toll booth," it stated, and then it went on. "Easily assembled at home and for use by those who have never traveled in the lands beyond." Beyond what? Thought Milo as he continued to read. "This package contains the following items. 1. Genuine turnpike toll booth, to be erected according to directions. 3. Precautionary signs to be used in a precautionary fashion. Assorted coins for paying tolls. 1 map up to date and carefully drawn by master cartographers depicting natural and man-made features. 1 book of rules and traffic regulations, which may not be bent nor broken." And in smaller letters at the bottom it concluded, "Results are not guaranteed, but if not perfectly satisfied, your wasted time will be refunded." Following the instructions, which told him to cut here, lift here, and fold back all around, he soon had the toll booth unpacked and set up on its stand. He fitted the windows in place and attached the roof, which extended out on both sides, and fastened on the coin box. It was very much like the toll booths he'd seen many times on family trips, except, of course, it was much smaller and purple. "What a strange present," he thought to himself. "The least they could have done was send a highway with it, for it's terribly impractical without one." But since at the time there was nothing else he wanted to play with, he set up the 3 signs. "Slow down approaching toll booth. Please have your fare ready. Have your destination in mind." And slowly unfolded the map. As the announcement stated, it was a beautiful map in many colors, showing principal roads, rivers, and seas, towns and cities, mountains and valleys, intersections and detours, and sites of outstanding interest, both beautiful and historic. The only trouble was that Milo had never heard of any of the places it indicated, and even the names sounded most peculiar. "I don't think there really is such a country," he concluded after studying it carefully. "Well, it doesn't matter anyway." And he closed his eyes and poked a finger at the map. "Dictionopolis," read Milo slowly when he saw what his finger had chosen. "Oh well, I might as well go there as anywhere." He walked across the room and dusted the car off carefully, then, taking the map and rulebook with him, he hopped in and, for lack of anything better to do, drove slowly up to the toll booth. As he deposited his coin and rolled past, he remarked wistfully, "I do hope this is an interesting game. Otherwise, this afternoon will be so terribly dull." Alright guys, so that is the first chapter of the Phantom Tollbooth. We'll go over it more extensively in class and answer any questions you guys may have as we are reading it. Some questions to keep in mind should you come back to this. These will be the same questions we'll discuss in class tomorrow. What do you think? What do you think of Milo? What are your first impressions of him? Have you ever felt like the world was just not interesting? What would you have done as a 10-year-old child if a phantom Tollbooth had popped up in your room? I'll share my answers with you as well as be very interested to hear your answers. And we will begin journaling about the book tomorrow as well. Thank you guys so much, and I hope this finds you all well, and I hope this will be something that will be helpful for you guys to look back on and to maybe reflect on things we've already looked at and things we've already done. Thanks so much. Bye-bye. Of course, we can't leave without doing the legal stuff. So, the legal stuff here, as I get to the legal stuff page, is... This is a Bullseye book published by Random House Incorporated, text copyright 1961 by Norton Juster, text copyright renewed in 1989 by Norton Juster. Illustrations are copyright 1961 by Jules Pfeiffer, illustration copyright renewed in 1989 by Jules Pfeiffer. All rights reserved under international and Pan-American copyright conventions, published in the United States by Random House Incorporated, New York, and simultaneously in Canada by Random House of Canada Limited, Toronto. Distribution by Random House Incorporated, New York. Originally published by Epstein and Carroll Associates in 1961 and by Random House in 1964. Library of Congress Catalog Number 61-13202, ISBN 0-394-82037-1, RL 6.3. First Bullseye Books edition, November 1988. Manufactured in the United States of America, 2524. I do not own any of this material, nor do I profit from it. I am only making these videos to be supplemental material for my volunteer tutorship at the Western Arkansas Literacy Council for my students who are reading this book along with me for learning purposes. This is for educational purposes, and no copyright infringement is intended on my part. I own nothing of this book or of these illustrations that I show to you. Thank you so much. This is licensed under free use, so on and so forth, all of that stuff, free use, blah, blah, blah. So that means anybody who wants to use this for educational, non-commercial purposes, of course, you may use this.